Before he died, Paul Newman, the movie star, showed a side of himself that not many people knew about. People loved Paul Newman for than 50 years because he was a great actor, a good director, a fast race car driver, and he helped a lot of people. Paul Newman always looked very calm and sophisticated in public. He really cared about helping others. Deep down, Paul Newman was a man who remembered everything, the good and the bad, and he kept track of it all. In the part of his life, Newman thought about his amazing career, and he made a private list. This list was of the 7 actors he just could not stand. For a time, nobody knew about this list. It was only shared with the people who were really close to him. Now people who knew him well are talking and sharing what they know, so we are finally finding out about this list. It turns out that Newman had strong feelings about some of the actors he worked with, even though he rarely said anything bad about anyone in public. He had opinions about certain actors, and now we know what he really thought about them, about these actors. What made this kind and generous man so upset with some people? Why are we just finding out about it now, a long time after he passed away? Today we are going to talk about the 7 actors who really got on Paul Newman's nerves and find out why he did not like each of them. We will look at why Paul Newman had a list of people he just could not stand and who was on that list. Number 7. Tom Cruise. This was a choice because they worked together in the 1986 film The Color of Money, made by Martin Scorsese. This film was special for Newman because he finally got his Oscar. Tom Cruise did a job getting ready for the film, and he was very professional. What bothered Newman was that Cruise was not humble, and he had too much energy all the time. Richard Zanuck, who made films with Newman, said that Tom Cruise was like a young kid full of energy. He treated Paul Newman like he was a star, which was a lot to handle. Paul just wanted to do his job without all the attention and excitement. Tom Cruise liked to talk about himself a lot during the interviews. This really bothered Paul Newman. He thought it was better to let the work talk for itself. Martin Scorsese said that Paul came to him after one interview and told him, "If that kid says one more time how much he learned from me and then starts talking about his exercise routine while I am trying to talk, I might get really mad and throw him out the window." Paul Newman did not like it when Tom Cruise would not let him finish talking. Newman said something with his dry humor, but you could tell he was really annoyed. Newman himself did not say much in public. He just said, "He is a dedicated young man with a lot of energy." Sometimes having a lot of energy can be a lot of energy. Number 6. Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston had a problem with Newman that went beyond just not getting along. It was about politics. Even though Charlton Heston and Newman never made a movie together, Charlton Heston's views were very different from Newman's. Charlton Heston thought one way. Newman thought another way. Newman's wife, Joan Woodward, said that Charlton Heston, the star of the 10 Commandments, and Ben-Hur became the president of the NRA. Charlton Heston believed in things that were opposite to what Newman believed in. Newman did not like war. He wanted things to change for the better. The tension between Newman and Heston was really high during the 1966 campaign. This is when Newman, who supported Eugene McCarthy, saw Heston at the restaurant. Heston supported the war. Newman did not like that. Newman would not even say hello to Heston, even though they were close to each other. Robert Vaughn, who worked with both of them, said that there was definitely tension between Newman and Heston. Newman thought that actors like Newman and Heston had a responsibility because so many people looked up to them. Newman said something in 1978 that really got people talking. He said some people confuse having played men with being great men. A lot of people thought Newman was talking about Heston when he said this. Newman and Heston had different ideas about the war and about what it means to be a great person. Number 5. Frank Sinatra. He and Frank Sinatra worked together on the 1980 movie When Time Ran Out. This was a disaster film. Frank Sinatra did not take things seriously. He would show up without preparing. He did the number of takes. Then he would leave away. This really bothered Newman. Newman liked to do things correctly. The director, James Goldstone, said Frank Sinatra was not respectful to the people who made movies. William Holden, who was also in the movie, said Frank Sinatra was one time. This made everyone wait for 3 hours. William Holden and Frank Sinatra even got into an argument about it on set. Frank Sinatra and his way of working did not get along with Newman and his way of working. Newman is a calm guy, and he told Sinatra that what he was doing was not okay. In 1994, Newman talked about what happened, and he said something nice about Sinatra. He said, "Frank has a singing voice." Newman did not want to say anything about Sinatra. Newman just wanted to say something about Frank Sinatra. Number 4. Marlon Brando was the actor on the list, and he surprised a lot of people. Even though Marlon Brando and Paul Newman never acted together in a movie, Marlon Brando and Paul Newman were always competing for the roles. People often compared Marlon Brando and Paul Newman when Paul Newman was just starting out. What really bothered Paul Newman was that Marlon Brando did not use his amazing talent very well. Robert Redford said that Paul Newman thought it was really sad to see Marlon Brando waste his talent like that. Paul Newman felt that watching Marlon Brando when he was older was like watching someone take a painting by Picasso and burn it just to keep warm. Newman was really upset with Brando because Brando did not prepare well for his role. Brando used cue cards a lot. He did not seem to care about making the movie. This was very different from Newman, who always tried his best. Eva Marie Saint, who worked with Newman, said that Newman thought people should always do their best when they are working with others on set. Newman said that when you have a lot of talent, you have to be responsible and use it well, and he was talking about Brando when he said this. Newman believed in giving his best to the people he worked with, like the filmmakers and the other actors, and he thought Brando should do the same. Number 3. Steve McQueen. This is interesting because Steve McQueen and Newman were both known for being really cool and charming on screen. They made a movie together called The Towering Inferno in 1974. When they worked together, it became clear that they were very different. Steve McQueen really cared about being seen as important, wanted to be paid the same as Newman, have the same number of lines, and get the same billing. This caused a lot of tension because Steve McQueen was worried about how things looked and who got credit. The director, John Gillerman, said that Newman was frustrated with Steve McQueen because Steve McQueen was very competitive and Newman liked to work with people as a team. Steve McQueen's competitive mindset was very different from Newman's way of working with others. Faye Dunaway, who worked with both Faye Dunaway actors, separately said that Paul Newman treated acting as something he wanted to get really good at, while Steve McQueen saw it as something he had to fight to win. The way Faye Dunaway saw it, Paul Newman and Steve McQueen were just not meant to get, they were like oil and water from the very beginning. Number 2, John Wayne. Newman did not like John Wayne. John Wayne was number 2 on Newman's list. They disagreed about politics and acting. Newman was a Democrat. He did not like John Wayne's views. This was especially true during the Vietnam War. Arthur Penn, a filmmaker, said Newman did not like John Wayne's film The Green Berets. Newman thought it was trying to convince people that war was a thing. John Wayne, on the hand, did not like people who were against the war like Newman. Newman did not think Wayne was a good actor. He said, "I like it when he does well." John Wayne always plays John Wayne in every movie. Newman was nice to Wayne in public. In private, he was not happy that Wayne got so much praise. For example, John Wayne won an Oscar for Grit in 1970. After John Wayne died in 1979, Newman said that John Wayne had an effect on people, but he also talked about how different they were. Newman and John Wayne were just not the same. That is what Newman thought about John Wayne. Number 1, Robert Redford. Newman really liked Robert Redford. They were friends for a time and worked together a lot. Robert Redford was number 1 on Newman's list. They were great together in movies like Butch Cassidy and The Sundance Kid. The Sting. Robert Redford was always late and did not care about being on time. This made Newman very frustrated. Director George Roy Hill saw that Newman was always on time. Robert Redford was always late. Even though Robert Redford was late all the time, he always did a job when it was time to film. This made Newman more frustrated with Robert Redford. The crew members did something nice for Newman. They gave him a clock that had the name Redford on it of numbers. This was a way of dealing with the delays that happened on the set. Even though things were tough, Newman and Redford were able to work and stay friends. And they could both look back and laugh about the problems they had. Newman talked about this at an event for the American Film Institute. He said that working with Robert Redford taught him to be patient. Newman said he was not a person before that. He said he needed to be patient when he was working with Robert Redford. Newman's list was not about gossip or things he did not like about people. It was about what he believed in, like being professional and doing a good job. His daughter Melissa said that the list showed what her father thought was important, which was giving his best to the people who watched his movies, the people he worked with, and the work itself. Newman's friend A.E. Hotchner said that as Newman got older and was sick with cancer, he started talking about the things that bothered him. The list was private when he was alive. People found out about it when they did interviews for a big book about his life that came out in 2022. The people who knew Newman said that he always kept his opinions to himself and did his job well. He worked with all the actors on the list. They all respected him on set. Newman continued to work with these actors, and everything was fine. Director Stuart Rosenberg said that Paul Newman always kept his feelings separate from his work. This is something that his co-star Jessica Tandy also noticed. She said Paul Newman had things he really liked and things he did not like. When he was working on a movie, you could not tell what he liked or did not like. Paul Newman treated everyone the same, gave them his full attention. The news about Newman's list has got people talking. Film historians and fans are discussing it. Some people wonder if Newman's personal thoughts should be out in the open. The people who knew Newman think it shows what kind of person he was. He expected a lot from himself and from others. Martin Scorsese said, "Every great artist has rules they follow. There are things they will not do." Newman's list is not just rumors about him. It is a list of what Newman believed in. Newman's list shows what Newman thought was important. People on the list, like Robert Redford, felt respect for Newman of being angry. They knew that working together made them both better men. The list that Newman made shows that he was a man with beliefs. He really cared about acting, wanted to do it well. He got upset when Robert Redford was late. He was disappointed that Marlon Brando did not use his talent. The list shows that Newman wanted people to do their best because he loved acting, much not because he thought he was better than others. Paul Newman's story reminds us that even the most charitable and easygoing individuals have limits, private judgments, and deeply held values, offering a compelling glimpse behind the curtain of Hollywood's golden age.